Speaking of magic, people are needing a little money to make magic happen for a lot of different reasons, though. And with this economic downturn that we are having or that we've been experiencing for the last year or so, one of the biggest areas that has been hit is giving money to charities and being more charitable in that regard. So how do you fix that? How do you help them do that? Well, one woman, she thinks that she may have a way to do that. Beverley Pomeroy joins us this morning. Good morning, Beverley.
Good morning, Simi. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Now, you have a great idea.
I hope so. I think so.
Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, I have a company here in Vancouver, and it's called Pink Giving, PINCgiving.com.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, my daughter was born, and she was born, unfortunately, with a life-limiting illness. And I'm the youngest of 8 kids from around the world, and my family was unable to support, me here personally, physically, and wanted to, provide support to the organizations like, Canuck Place Children's Hospice and BC Children's Hospital, and they weren't able to do it. So kind of started talking to a few people and some technology gurus that I found in Vancouver, and decided to come up with a platform to create peer-to-peer pledge pages and online fundraising initiatives.
Okay, so how does that, without the techno speak?
Yeah.
What does that actually mean?
Basically, it's a donate button.
Oh.
You can put a donate button on your corporate website, your charity website, your personal website. It can be integrated with Ning come September, which is another social networking site. Basically putting the power of giving online.
Wow, and this must be great for charities, because if it makes it that easy for people to do it, if they're out on the internet, they find something interesting, they can just do it.
Absolutely, and it's about the charities and the organizations that we're trying to support, but really what it is, I mean, I think a lot of us have seen this change and this shift in consciousness over the last couple of years where, we want to make a difference. We can see that we can affect change, and we can affect change in so many different ways, and this is just another way that we can affect change in our communities and support the people and initiatives that are really close to our heart.
You are what we would call a mompreneur.
Yes.
A new
mother
word.
of 3, absolutely.
Wow, yes, you are a mompreneur. Now, this was launched, Pink Giving was, in September of 2007. How has it gone since then?
It's grown huge. I mean, we start off just with the peer-to-peer pledge pages, and now we're finding we're doing grant prospecting and grant writing, and we're advocating social media, and we're launching a new online television network called the Life on Purpose Network.com this September, which is wrapping video with the ability to connect. And really what it is facilitating and allowing people to be actionable in your community. We talk about philanthropy. It's a really big catchphrase right now. Mm-hmm. My soapbox item is, backyard philanthropy. There are things that we're doing every day in our own smaller communities that a lot of people don't realize, but they have a huge, huge impact. And those stories need to be seen, and they need to be heard, and they need to have the tools to be successful and sustain the organizational support services that exist.
Do you think that what you're doing is sort of needed now more than ever? I know there's lots of news reports that show potentially the provincial government here in BC is going to be cutting drastically the amount of lottery money it gives to charities.
Yeah, absolutely huge. I think it is necessary, and I think we've seen an evolution in philanthropy and seen an evolution in community where the grassroots initiatives really is where a lot of the dollars come. We talk about political campaigns and Obama. That's exactly where he got his funding from, was grassroots initiatives. Here we have it in philanthropy and what I call backyard philanthropy, where you look back at World War I, $200 million was raised during World War I by the American Red Cross. Why? Because their sons, their dads, their brothers, their uncles were going to war. The same thing's happening now. We have these huge cuts. I see it in my community. I have kids that have special needs. We're getting cut on the front lines for these services. Well, where is that sustainability going to come from? It's going to come from the people in the community, not just donating, but creating, social enterprise to sustain these services that are so necessary.
Right. Your company's grown by 20% a month.
Yeah.
In the last 2 quarters.
Yeah.
So that's for the last 6 months you're growing by. How do you keep up with that?
I drink a lot of coffee. To be honest, it's that's what I do. I drink a lot of coffee. I have great staff, and we're part of a huge global movement. And
it sounds like it. Well, people seem to be, and I think that's part of. We saw the election in the States, and people with the economic situation, people care more about their neighbor now than they did, say, a couple of years ago.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and they want to be actionable. That's the big thing, is they want to be actionable. We all, our tagline and what PINK actually stands for is purpose, intention, and commitment. And, I started the company as a living legacy to my daughter, who unfortunately, has an incredible, difficult, struggle.
And how is she?
Her path. Her disease is progressing, but she's a happy little thing, so I don't really complain too much about it.
Oh, and how are your kids coping? I mean, if the mom is that busy, how do you juggle that?
Well, that's the kind of the advantage of having your own business. You can have your own hours, right? So
right.
You can work at 4 o'clock in the morning, or you can work at 10 o'clock at night, or at 3 o'clock. You can.
Or at 6:30 in the morning, as the case may be.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. And so, where do you see this going then? Do you think it's just going to get bigger?
I think it'll get bigger, and I think the growth isn't going to come from me. I think I'm an advocate. It is definitely my soapbox item. I think the growth is actually going to come from the people in our community who are redefining philanthropy and redefining what community means to them. And really helping them affect that change. That's where the growth is going to come. You talk about government cutbacks. We have so much in healthcare right now, and the Children's Ministry of Children's Families, there's huge cuts coming, again, this September.
Yeah.
Who's going to make those differences? Who's going to impact that?
It's going to be every area, though. Do you ever worry about donor fatigue?
I do and I don't. People talk about that a lot, and I think that happens where the large dollars are coming from and maybe some of the planned giving. But I really think that, people that are donating every day in what I call the dollar store mentality, the $1 to $5 to $25 range, they're donating because they're personally attached to that cause. It's somebody, running across Canada. It's someone swimming across the English Channel, or, someone who's doing an initiative in their local community. They're personally affected by it. Look at your local community newspapers, and you see stories of families that are struggling and how the community comes together. So I don't think in that way there's going to get donor fatigue. I think for larger campaigns there may be donor fatigue, but you really have to make it personal, and there has to be a connection to the organization. I know you have Rick Hansen, I think, coming on later on today, and talk about a personal connection. He went to 34 different countries, and wheeled around. He was personally connected to the disease and the research and the funding that he was raising money for. Terry Fox did the same thing. Gilda's Club does the same thing. The ones that are really successful, there's a personal story behind it.
Right. So what your technology does then, it allows any organization to have a sort of a donate button on their website?
Absolutely. And we just did actually a really hysterical infomercial that I recommend people go and see. I lost a bet in my office, and I had to do this kind of schmoozy, info, FAUX commercial on our, what I call our donate button, and that really there's tools out there, and we're a great organization for that, where we can put that power giving on people's websites, and you don't have to be a charity. You can put the donate button on a corporate website as a corporate citizen and show that you're supporting initiatives in your community, and allow your customers and clients, to give to those organizations, and you can match give. There's other ways that you can provide that service.
Right. Okay. And so your website again is?
www.pinkgiving.com, pinkgiving.com.
All right. Thanks very much for joining us, Beverley.
Thank you, Simi. A pleasure.
Have a great day. That is Beverley Pomeroy talking about how her company, how she started out with basically just an idea, and in a couple of years she's gone to helping charities get money when they need it the most. When people don't seem to be giving as much anymore, she's making it easier for people to do just that. It is 6:36. It's time now to check.